The United States has already had a busy day attacking.
And it was shocking, and it was awesome.
Warning on a scale that will shock and awe.
Shock and awe.
Shock and awe.
If you have to ask, is this shock and awe? You're not seeing it.
We refuse to carry on business as usual while American soldiers and Iraqi civilians die under the machinery of war.
When they start looking at or start exploring the issues of Muslims and the Islamic fundamentalists and start portraying them as terrorists, that does add to a certain resentment towards these communities, which lead to hate crimes towards them as well. And when hate crimes are being committed, people of similar physical traits and from a certain geographical location kind of get clumped together.
8:45 a.m.
People coming down. We felt a little shake. Everybody fell to one side. We had no knowledge that
Steel core weakened by the plane's impact and the searing fire.
Tragic hour in America's history.
Balbir Singh Sodhi, a 49-year-old turbaned Sikh and father of 3, was shot and killed while planting flowers at his gas station in Mesa, Arizona. Hours before the crime, Sodhi's alleged killer, Frank Roque, had bragged at a local bar of his intention to, quote, kill the ragheads responsible for September 11th. In addition to shooting Sodhi 3 times before driving away, Roque also allegedly shot into the home of an Afghani American and at 2 Lebanese gas station clerks.
Satnam Vaheguru, Satnam Vaheguru.
We don't share the same ethnic or religious affiliation to the people, at least, who they think that they're targeting.
The day is Friday, April 28, 2000. I cannot forget that day ever in my life.
More charges are expected to be filed next week against the man accused in Friday's deadly shooting rampage outside of Pittsburgh.
My brother-in-law called me and says, somebody shoot Sandeep.
34-year-old Richard Baumhammers
is in custody, accused of killing 5 people and wounding a 6th at several locations around suburban Pittsburgh yesterday afternoon. He allegedly shot a Jewish woman, 2 Indian men, a Chinese man, a Vietnamese man, and an African-American man.
Sandeep was helping my sister in a grocery store, and that guy just came in and started shooting him.
मैं स्टोर में अकेला था, उसने मुझ पर गोली चला दी और सीधे मैं ज़मीन पर गिर गया। उसके बाद मुझे कुछ नहीं पता।
Neck down, his body is completely disabled. He cannot move his arms or legs or nothing. For food and for every little thing, he has to be dependent on somebody else.
This was clearly an example where people outside of our communities didn't differentiate between whether you were from India or Pakistan or from Guyana or Trinidad. You look the same to them, and those who want to hurt you or discriminate against you, will not differentiate where you're from exactly.
September 11th, 2001.
My name is Shakray Yagi. I'm a mother of 3. I've been married to my husband for almost 10 years now, and I came to the United States from Afghanistan after the war over there, or during the war over there. I grew up here in Albany. This is Juanes. He's 7 years old. Yeah. And he has his teeth falling out. Oh. And this is Ziad. He's 9. And that's Sabudat. No! He's 5. Life in Albany is peaceful. It's a small city. So, I grew up here. I know it. This is where I couldn't call anywhere else home other than here. My family's here. I went to school here. My husband basically spent his whole adult life here. My husband, he was detained for 3 days before he was able to make any phone calls to a lawyer or to a family member or anything like that. It was basically, he was picked up off the street and just taken away. And that was it. No one knew anything about it.
Since 9/11, the FBI and INS began illegally detaining Arabs, South Asians, Muslims, and Sikhs, rounding up over 1,200 in the first weeks of the crackdown. The government has yet to disclose the detainees' names, where they are being held, and on what charges. Those released report many more Arabs in detention, leading experts to believe unknown thousands are being detained.
It happens with the Chinese Exclusion Act. It happens following many years after that with the internment camp, putting away 120,000 Japanese Americans just because of their country of origin and their race, even though many of them are actually American citizens. And today, with the Southeastern Muslim Arab Americans, they're under the same kind of destiny. They're going through the same thing. They're being crucified, they're being ostracized, they're being detained, they're being put away for the same reason. That's why I'm here today. That's why I say history is a way to repeat itself.
We feel that when people of Arab and Muslim descent are attacked and their civil rights are violated, that this affects everyone.
What it actually feels like to be part of a community that's being targeted by special registration.
Because these days, if you're a man aged 16 or over from any country that's predominantly Muslim, you're assumed guilty until proven innocent.
When I came into the INS checkpoint, they saw my passport and it says clearly country of origin is Iraq. They asked me to step into a room where the first question that was asked to me by the 2 officers that were in that room was if I was a Muslim or not. and whether or not I was patriotic and to whom I was patriotic. Do I have beef with what, or do I have problems with what the United States is doing to my country? Mistakenly, not realizing that until after I'd been trapped, I said, yes, I do have a problem with what's happening in Iraq. And that was the mistake I made, was thinking that I could actually speak my mind to these folks and that any of my amendment rights counted at this point.
So I didn't really think much of it. I said, okay, they're questioning, that's fine. Then, he should be out within a day or two, because how long can questioning take? And now I found out it was so amazingly horrible that, no one should go through that. He was held in solitary confinement, or as they call it, the special housing unit, where in that particular cell area that they keep you, from what I was told, it's a 6x9 cell, and it has a tiny little window that you can look out from, because you're in there 23 hours a day, sometimes 24. And the window that he had to look outside to see whether it was day or night, or the season, if you want to even say, because since he was in there all of fall, all of winter, and all of spring, they painted it on him, and apparently to all the other inmates as well, so that they couldn't look outside to see anything. He was videotaped 24 hours a day, so he had absolutely no privacy. The light was shone on him 24 hours a day.
Many detainees have reported that they were mistreated while in custody. This included humiliating body searches, confinement in cold cells without blankets or shoes, and in some cases, being drenched with cold water by guards. As the jails filled, some were taken to detention centers out of state, far from families and attorneys.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, who is it?
Hold on, she finished.
Hello? Assalamu alaikum. Do they know where they took him? Yeah. They do? Because usually they don't even tell that. They didn't let him see any lawyer? All right, ma'asalam. My daughter said that the brother of one of her friends was picked up and by the INS with no charge and then detained. So she didn't know who to call to do something about it, and they weren't letting him see a lawyer. So.
Is this happening a lot?
In the last 2 weeks, yes. I mean, it goes in waves. If the, now INS is under Homeland Security. So if they decide to do a sweep, of questioning or detentions, a lot of them do happen here in the DC area.
And how do you know they've been picked up?
It's really exactly like in, what it used to be like in Argentina, the disappeared. They are the disappeared. They take them, they don't let them speak to anyone, they don't let them get a lawyer, they keep them indefinitely with no charges whatsoever, and people know because they have relatives. They know these people disappeared. So it's very disconcerting.
And I'm sure you can see that we are nearing the Immigration and Naturalization Service door. Hi.
I'm Zach Safter. How you doing?
Nice to meet you. I'm Kathy Holt Springston. Why don't we go right inside and we can talk over a bit here. Tell me about what happened the first time you came here.
The first time I came here, this was on March 20th. I came here because being a citizen of Pakistan, I'm required, to comply with a policy of the U.S. called INS special registration. On March 20th, I came actually right to this office of INS. I had consulted with the international student advisor of my university to make sure that from an immigration perspective, things are in order, before I went for registration. And we looked at my case, and basically I had no concerns, coming into the INS special registration about potential problems. That certainly didn't turn out to be true, and the special registration turned out to be an enormous surprise for me, in fact a shock. At one stage of the registration process, I was, without fully knowing what the reasons of my arrest were, I was arrested and put in a detention cell right in this building for a couple of hours. Following that, I was transported to a county jail in Stratford, Virginia, for the night. And as we spoke about this, slightly before, I was released on bail from Stratford, Virginia, the following afternoon.
You had been here for so many years and obviously done so much and to help our country and to do so much for our communities too. And then to have this suddenly change, obviously, there was some sort of a mix-up here.
Yeah. No, and it's for me as a student, for me as a resident of in the U.S. for 11 years, all of this has been like an enormous surprise for me.
Is your knowledge based on specific targets, or has this decision been made based on the weight of everything that you're looking at?
I think we'll stick with the statements we've made, that intelligence, which is assessed on a regular basis, provides a very sound basis and a responsibility for us to communicate what we believe to be an elevated threat to the American people.
There may be some bumps in the road. That's life. Everything doesn't end like it does in the soaps, I don't actually know how it ends in the soaps because I don't watch it.
My name is Sonny Humphrey. I'm a victim of September 11. We are detainees for the INS.
They just pick people up and just leave them here. They don't even come over here and tell us nothing.
I wish, we can deliver this message to all the public, to all the people.
People have been over here trying to kill themselves because they want to go home. You got guys that just came off the boat and they want to go. I just had to save a guy's life the other day because he tried to kill himself.
I will let everybody know that we are suffering over here. I want to say, please, I'm a father of 7 months. My baby, I don't see my baby yet. So, thank you for everything, and that's it.
Well, today, April 25th, marks the deadline for the 5th wave of special registration. Special registration being a new policy to really round up Arab, Muslim, and Middle Eastern, South Asian immigrants in the U.S. to make sure, kind of like placing a surveillance tag on them. They've put it under the pretense of special registration, something that's going to extend to the entire population of immigrants. But what they're really doing is labeling anybody in this country who is Middle Eastern, Arab, or Muslim as a terrorist.
What's this? This? Yeah. Masjid. It's masjid. Whose is it? Allah. Allah. No, but whose is this? Whose was this?
Baba's.
Yeah. Grandpa's? My younger 2 children, they're 7 and 5. They don't know that, any of the reasons as to what has happened. I've tried to explain to my oldest one what happened just so, he's going to hear it in school, things like that. I didn't want him to be upset over it. but he can't comprehend the reasoning behind it. I mean, he understands that he was, why he was taken in and things like that, but he doesn't understand what it has to do with us, what it has to do with his father, because he knows his father is innocent. My children hasn't seen their father, and he hasn't seen them, or us, all of us haven't been together for 15 months now. And that's 2 birthdays for each one of them that has passed that he hasn't seen. And I don't know, maybe this will be at one day, it'll be an experience that I can, say, okay, well, I've had that experience, now I know how to deal with it. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, though. It's horrible.
By the show of what the major demonstrations have been about, against the war, there were placards that said, "Stop racial profiling, no more detainments of Mideast people." I think people are much more sensitive and more informed at this time.
It's not just statistics, and it's not just numbers, it's actual names and lives that are being affected by this.
There are many Americans who are fed up with all the unrighteous things that America has done.
Wars and how these horrible things done by 1 or 2 people can destroy millions and millions of lives. I think the statistics are that if 1 person is killed, at least 10 people are immediately affected by it. All these people who have been detained and deported, 10 more people or maybe even more have been affected by this, and their lives have been turned upside down.
We pledge to make common cause with the people of the world to bring about justice, freedom, and peace.
Do you know about Farouk Abdelmouty?
No, I don't think he needs to be free until we know exactly who he is. They gotta stop letting foreigners into the country and letting them do whatever they want to do, and we don't know a thing about who they are or what they're doing. America isn't the same anymore.
As you know, this is a rally demanding the freedom of Farouk Abdelmouty, who was arrested April 26th. Unjustly, we all feel. Since September 11th, the government has been using the incidents of September 11th to justify the imprisonment of thousands of people across the country.
The NYPD intelligence was well aware of Farouk's political activities. The INS devises lists of people who have outstanding deportation orders, particularly people coming from certain ethnic communities. They've said this publicly, and they hand these off to the absconder task forces in certain cities. The task force then makes its own decision who to go after and when to go after.
During the time that he was arrested and taken to 26 Federal Plaza in Manhattan, this FBI agent, who's not supposed to be asking him any sorts of questions about crime or terrorism because that's not his charge, interrogated him severely and beat him, kicked him in the groin, slapped his face, and hit his head. If it were solely for INS reasons, then that would have never happened to him.
My name is Farouk Abdelmouty. I am Palestinian. I come to this country from the 1976, and I have a son, children was an American, born here, his name Tariq. I been detained in 26th of April after my boys was in WBI Radio Pacifica, to bring the voice of the Palestinian people in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip and the Palestinian refugee camps.
Hundreds of thousands of people across the country heard the broadcasts, broadcasts from Jenin, broadcasts from Nablus, all these different places where all these humanitarian disasters were taking place. People were getting first-hand information of what was actually happening.
I was with all these groups when we make a big rally after 9/11 with the interfaith. I bring the Muslim speaker, I bring the Christian Arab speakers to be part of this big rally. I believe in peace and justice and equal society in the historical land of Palestine.
He always makes a distinction between legitimate national liberation struggle and terrorism. He doesn't believe in exporting the Palestinian struggle outside of its borders.
You understand, about my community, the Palestinian, the Arab community here beginning to be afraid, and is afraid even to talk, afraid to go to the streets, afraid even to talk by telephones. The INS detainees, many of them, especially the 9/11 people, have families, have lawyers, have cases, and be deported. One day and 9 deported. Never you know what time you can move you from here. Till you move you, and after you disappear. Strange policies is working very secretly. You don't know what can happen to you. This kind of psychological war against the Arabs and the Muslims today is the same time repeat the history of the 1943 against the Japanese Americans. We have to stop these things. We have to go to talk about the balance and criterion of right and true. Talk to my son, say hello to him, huh? You have a telephone number, right? Yeah. Okay, please call him.